and welcome back to another video. My name is Shah and this is Thoroughly Enjoyed Books. And today's video is going to be, you guessed it from the title, so is that really guessing? I don't know. Today I am going to do a self-destruct video. So I am going to show you 5 books that have been on my shelves for ever that I really need to get to in the next year, and if I don't get to them, I just need to get rid of them because I think all of these books I have had on my shelves for at least 7 years, which is a long time, a really long time, and I just haven't read them. And I'm at a point now where I want to cull my bookshelves of books that I'm just never going to read because I just have too many. I am looking at these shelves when I need to pick a new book to read, and I'm so uninspired that I want to go and buy a new book. But there are so many books on those shelves that I should just read them. So I have literally been looking through all of those shelves thinking, what books do I want to read? What books have I wanted to read for a long time and just never picked up? And I thought maybe this would spur me on to read some books. I think it was Becca in the Books who created this quite a while ago now. And I was watching Mel from, oh my gosh, what is Mel's channel? Anyway, I'll leave the channel names down below so you can go and check out who inspired me to make this video. They often pick 10 books. I thought maybe 10 books was a bit too daunting and I would probably not stick to this challenge if I picked out 10 books. So I went with the 5. And if I don't read these 5 by the 1st of February next year, they're going. And you guys can hold me accountable. I'm actually tempted to make it 6 months, you know. Let's make it 6 months. If I have not read these books by the 1st of August this year, they're going. I have 6 months to read these. Then I can do this video twice a year. Let's do that. So if I have not read these books by August, they're out. There's only 5 books here. So I should, in theory, be able to read one of these a month and then not have to get rid of any of them. But they've been on my shelves for years. And some of these have been on my shelves for over a decade. That's why they're here. Here are the ones I'm going to talk about. Let's get into them. The first one is The Luminaries by Eleanor Catton. This was a gift from my university boyfriend, as in my first year of university. This won the Man Booker Prize in 2013. It says it right here. For context, we are currently in 2024. And I bought this as soon as it became available. This edition was published in 2014, I've just checked. So it's been on my TBR for pretty much a decade now. And I have never even picked it up to try it. I couldn't tell you what it's about. The blurb says it is 1866 and Walter Moody has come to make his fortune upon the New Zealand goldfields. On the night of his arrival, he stumbles across a tense gathering of 12 local men who have met in secret to discuss a series of unsolved crimes. A wealthy man has vanished, a whore has tried to end her life, and an enormous fortune has been discovered in the home of a luckless drunk. Moody is soon drawn into the mystery, a network of fates and fortunes that is as complex and exquisitely patterned as the night sky. So I don't even know what this is about. I probably did at the time. I was really interested in this, and like I said, it was a gift because my boyfriend at the time thought I wanted it, and clearly I must have. It's 832 pages, which is why I haven't read it yet. But I have been reading a lot of longer books this year and really enjoying savouring longer books. So hopefully the fact that I have that momentum at the minute will help me through this one. And if I don't read it this year, it's been 10 years, I'm never going to read it. The next one has also been on my shelves for a decade, and that is In Cold Blood by Truman Capote. Again, I picked this up my first year of university, which was over 10 years ago now. I started university 10.5 years ago. It has been over a decade. This was mentioned in like my first tutorial when we were talking about genre. This is a controversial book. I believe Truman Capote befriended somebody accused of murder and like put together this mix, this blurring of fiction and non-fiction, which is why I picked it up, because it sounded fascinating. It is what we talked about in the tutorial, those blending of genres. I started and never finished Breakfast at Tiffany's by Truman Capote. I'm not really a true crime fan, so I'm not sure that this book is necessarily for me. But because, again, it has been on my TBR for over a decade, I think it's either time to get to it this year or it's time for this to move on to somebody else. And I know people love these editions, so I have no doubt that I'll be able to like sell it, or somebody would pick it up in a charity shop and absolutely devour this. So I need to read it. Hello Julie, I'm busy. Look at this little one. She always comes and visits, don't you? Are you camera hungry? Are you fame hungry? Do you want to be a star? You want to be famous? You want to be in movies? I think this is the book that has been on my TBR the shortest out of all of these, and that is The Power by Naomi Alderman. This won, again, the Women's Prize for Fiction in 2017. I've just noticed actually quite a lot of these books have award winners. I do enjoy awards. I love the Women's Prize. I only really got more into prizes in the last few years, but I really wanted to read this one when it came out, and I did read half of it on a train when I went back from, I think I was in Leicester at the time, from Leicester back up to Cumbria, which is like a 6-hour train journey. So I read half of it on that, and then again just never picked it back up. I was enjoying it, but I think I was a little disappointed in it, which is why I never finished it. The Power is set in this world where women suddenly get this like electric power in their fingers, and it's like a feminist narrative, a feminist dystopian novel where women kind of take over the world. I remember thinking at the time that this was really fun, but also I was like, I don't think this is nuanced enough for what it's trying to do, because there was obviously nothing about trans women in it that I had read at the time, and maybe they're mentioned later on, and I thought it was very surface level at the time. But like I said, I was only like halfway through it. Maybe it got a bit better, and I have heard lots of good things about this, so I want to give it another go, and if I don't get it finished or I don't enjoy it this time, I want to get rid of it. I think the main reason I have this book on my shelf still is because I do really love the cover, and I love the covers of Disobedient and a couple of her other books as well. But also I've heard not great things about her newest book, so I'm not quite sure if maybe she was a fad. I don't know. There's just, you know, it's been on my TBR for a long time, 7 years, because this came out in 2017 when it won the Women's Prize. I just need to get it done. I need to make a decision on it one way or another. Another book that I have started so many times and never finished is Hom Going by Yaa Gyasi. The last time I tried to read this was in June 2022. I took it with me on holiday to Tenerife. I read, again, quite a lot of it, maybe a quarter of it in a hotel room after seeing Harry Styles in Manchester the day before I flew out to Tenerife. And then when I was in Tenerife, I just wasn't that bothered about it. It came back with me and I haven't picked it up since then. I have even got it, like the flaps folded where I was on page 95. I don't know whether to pick up from page 95, start it again. But again, this one has been on my TBR for a long time. It's a hardback, so I obviously got it when it first came out. And it first came out in 2016, so that is 8 years. This has been on my TBR for 8 years and I've only got 95 pages into it. This is it's about two sisters who have very different lives, one as a slave and one as a slave's wife, I think. One is sold into slavery and one becomes a slave trader's wife, and it follows the different lives that they have and looks at how over time and generations things change for African women and slaves. I was enjoying it. I don't know again why I didn't pick it up, why I stopped reading it. I'm thinking maybe to audiobook this one because I've heard good things about the audiobook, just to get through it, because it's not even a long book, so I really don't understand why I just never finished it. It's exactly 300 pages. I even think that this was a book club pick for my in real life book club at one point. So why have I never ever got to it? I don't know. I need to. So those are all quite literary books. As you know, I love literary fiction. But lately I have been trying to get more into fantasy again. I have got a lot of fantasy books. I think the main reason that I haven't been reading much fantasy, well, I think there's two reasons. One, I think booktube and life changes as you get older and it makes you want to read more books. So you put off those bigger books. That's the main thing. And lately I've been reading those longer books. Second reason is because my fantasy bookshelves are in a different room and I don't go in that room often, so they get forgotten about. But one of the ones that I want to read is The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon. As you can see, this is the original hardback. So this has been, again, on my TBR for over 10 years. It came out in 2013. I didn't think it had been that long. I thought maybe it'd been 8 or 9 years. But again, another one that has been on my TBR for over a decade. Probably the one that has been on this TBR the longest. Actually, I think I got this before I went to uni. So yes, this is the book that has been on my TBR for the longest. Why have I never read it? I don't know. I've heard great things about Samantha Shannon. This isn't even actually that long for a fantasy book. It is around the 500 page mark, and looking at it, the font is quite large, so there shouldn't be any reason why I've not read this. But again, it's another book that I don't think I know anything about anymore, and I must have. It's set in the future, in the year 2059, which actually, when you think about it, that's only 25 years away. That isn't far in the future at all. And I remember when it came out that this was hyped as like the next Harry Potter, because it was going to be a 7-book series and it was this epic fantasy. But I don't know what's happened with this now. I know Samantha Shannon has now gone on to write The Priory of the Orange Tree and the prequel to that just came out, which I don't know the name of. So I don't know where this series currently stands, but I do have the first 2 books in this hardback, so I need to get to them soon. And again, if I don't read this year, I'm clearly not that interested. So here are the 5 books that will self-destruct if I do not read them in the next 6 months. What I will say is, particularly with the Luminaries, if I start that and I'm enjoying it but I just don't finish it by August, so say I start it in like July and it takes me 2 months to read, I'm not going to get rid of it then. But if I DNF it by then, I'll get rid of it. So I need to at least have started them and made a decision. Otherwise, they're gonna go, because they've been on my shelves for just far too long. So please let me know if you have read any of these books, and if you have, what did you think of them? How has what I said resonated with you? You know, have you read The Luminaries, for example, and just think it's far too long? Or are there any other books here that you just don't think are for me? Because you guys are actually really good at recommendations, and I'd love to know if you think I will enjoy them, or if the reasons I've been putting them off are valid. As usual, I will leave links down below to my Storygraph and my Instagram and all that cool stuff, so you can come and follow me on there and talk to me about books. I will also leave the links down there to Becca and Mel, so you can go check out their channels as well. And I will see you in another video very, very soon. Take care. Bye.